What's up, fam? I want to explain the difference between a contractor and a full-time employee, or a 1099 and a W-2. So if you're 1099, it means you're a contractor, and if you're W-2, it means you're an employee. There's some pros and cons to this, but I'm going to really focus on the pros of being a 1099. And so first off, it's taxes. When you're being paid as a 1099, you don't pay employee taxes, and the company doesn't pay taxes to get that money to you. You're being paid as a business, so if you think about it, when you're paying Apple for an iPhone, you're not paying taxes on that except for sales tax. But the way it works is if you're a company, the company would pay taxes and then you would pay taxes. And so we're trying to avoid that in the sense that if your salary is $10,000 a month or $2,000 a month, you're going to get that full amount. Whereas if you were a W-2, you would get a smaller portion because part of it is going from the company tax and then part of it is going away as your employee tax. That does mean you have to pay taxes later on, and we're going to get into that. So the next step that's important is you want to become an LLC or an entity. When you do that, you're actually a business taking money and it goes into a business pot. So it doesn't go into your personal pocket or bank account. To open your LLC, if you live in the state of Florida, where we are, or where I am, you just go to sunbiz.gov and you open an LLC. It's really easy. They ask you a few questions. You open it. It's about $150. And then once you file it, about 5 days later, you'll get an email asking you to create your EIN. Your EIN is your tax ID number. So that way at the end of the year when you do accounting and things like that, you're going to report under that EIN. And I want to note that I am not an accountant, so I am giving the best advice that I know. You should always check with your accountant before making any actions. This is just based off the experience that I've had. So once you have that EIN and 1099, there's a special form. I can't remember the name of it, but you're going to want to become an S-elect. What that means is any money that's left in the company, basically you don't have to pay employee taxes on that, which is 15%. So you're avoiding those taxes as well. So now you have this money in your business. It's not in your pocket. So there's several things you can do here. First thing is you can expense things tax-free. So your car, anything a legitimate business expense. Your car, gas, some meals and entertainment that are around work, work travel, office supplies, anything that you can think of that's work-related, computers, software, anything like that. And so it's really important that you track that in a proper way. There's a free tracking software called Wave that I've used in the past. It's pretty good. And then QuickBooks is the preferred, more professional. They have QuickBooks Online, which their self-employed is fairly affordable. And that's going to be your best way because as you grow and scale, it's going to give you more functionality and the ability to do more things. Okay, great. So now you've done all this. And so let's say you're getting paid $40,000 a year and $20,000 of that is business expenses. So now there's still $20,000 in there. So what happens with that? So what you're going to want to do is start paying yourself from that business as a W-2 employee. Sounds crazy, but you're going to be an employee of your own business. That way you're paying into Social Security and things like that, which is only a percentage of your payment. So if you're paying yourself a small amount, you only have to, it's a smaller amount's getting taken. And then you'll pay taxes on that part as employee taxes and things like that. So instead of paying it on $40,000, now you're only paying it on $20,000, which is profit, which then you can invest. But it gets better. You can invest some of that money and avoid some more taxes. So if you put it into your IRA, your Roth IRA is preferred usually, then you're not going to pay tax on that. I think most years you get to put in $6,500 currently. So instead of paying taxes on $20,000, now you're doing it on $14,000. Awesome. So now we're talking about insurance because that's the next big question is insurance is very expensive. I pay $700 a month for insurance because I have health issues. I get it. So Florida.gov is probably the easiest way to get health insurance through their open market. And what they do is they do give you tax subsidizations based on your income. So your income is not what the company made because remember we expensed a whole bunch of stuff. Your income is that $14,000, I believe. Again, ask an accountant. But that's the $14,000 that we took out and made profit, which then you're investing or paying your rent or paying utilities, maybe if it doesn't fit into the business, depends. Cable and internet usually does fit into business. Anyways, so you're making that $14,000 profit and you're paying that as a W-2 to yourself. So when you go to do healthcare, that actually gives you about a $400 per month subsidization to healthcare. So that means that if you're going to do a plan that's $400 a month, it's actually free. And so for the last 2 years, I've had free healthcare because I was only making a small amount of money. When I was building my business and learning how to be an entrepreneur, I only made a couple $1,000s. Most of the money was reinvested into the business and inventory and things like that, which I did not pay taxes on and did not count towards income. So I had free insurance. Now, unfortunately, or fortunately, I'm paying for my insurance, but it's something that I'm willing to pay for because I need the extra coverage. So that covers most of it. The IRA is going to be your retirement, and then there's something called a simple IRA, and you can create your own 401k and things like that. And then also the company that's paying you as a contractor can help you set that up. But that's really the basis, and that's why I prefer to be a 1099 contractor in any case that anyone's going to pay me. Or more importantly, you're really your own business, so you're not even getting a 1099 unless you have a certain relationship with them. So let's cover the benefits of a W-2 real quick, just to kind of try to make it a little bit more fair. So a W-2, you're a full-time employee, which means you might get benefits from your company. They, depending on the size of the company, do not have to give you benefits and may not be able to afford it. So just because you're W-2 does not mean you're getting health insurance and things like that. The company might be able to subsidize it or offer special packages. I know that I run a small business, and at this point, we do not qualify for insurance. We have to have 50 employees or more to offer that, so we don't do that at this point, unfortunately, just because we haven't scaled to that point. That's something that every company wants to do. It's just a very expensive process. So just because you're being paid as a W-2 does not mean you're going to get health insurance from a startup. So that's one big thing. See what other benefits. I really can't think of any benefits in a small business. In a large company, yes, you get health insurance, you get other retirement, things like that. But smaller companies that can't afford it yet, they don't really exist. So that's why, especially if you're working with smaller companies, you're going to want to be that contractor, even if you're working full time. And then there are certain points where the company does have to turn you into a W-2, and they don't get an option. And that's just based on the responsibility that you take in that company. So basically, if you're doing very specific task and it's always the same and the company is not mandating day-to-day activities, they're just saying, hey, here's the deliverable, go get it done, then you're very much a contractor. If you're taking day-to-day directions from the company and things like that, and you have daily call-ins and it's really not based on deliverables, it's based on actions, then you're more of a full-time employee. So those are things that you need to review with your company. All right, guys, that's the very high level. Again, if you can pull it off, I say be a contractor all the time. Create your entity, which is super important. What I do is the S-Elect for all of my profits, and then you avoid a lot of taxes, and then you expense things out of there, and then you pay yourself as a W-2, so that way you're still buying into Social Security and things like that, and all of that important things. Again, one more thing, it's super important to have some sort of accountant with you to help you through this process. And when you're filing, there's usually a fee. So covering the fees, usually it can be about twice a year. You're going to put aside about $1,500 to $2,000 for refiling and insurance, or refiling your LLC, and then also filing your taxes. And that's just if you're going to use a professional and you're going to have it all done for you. There's other softwares and things like that you can do it yourself. But again, if you're not an expert, you probably want to work with someone, and they'll help you with financially saving for the future and things like that if you have a good accountant. All right, guys, let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.